So there's a kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm sure everybody knows this story. His name is Harrison Butker, and he gave a commencement at a small college in Kansas, a Catholic school, and it was, he was giving his commencement, and he offered his opinions on things and a variety of things. And he talked about where he was speaking to the women specifically, even said that, I want to speak to you specifically. And he was talking about that he believed that they should be there for marriage and babies. That's kind of one of his.
Welcome to my channel, Outspoken Samantha. If you are new here, welcome. I appreciate you clicking on the video to watch it, and since you're here, I would love it if you would click on that subscribe button and help me to grow this channel. And if you're returning, welcome back. I truly do appreciate your continued support of my channel, and I hope that you are subscribed as well. So if you've been following, Harrison Butker is a kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs, and he is not famous for dating a celebrity, but he is actually making his rounds on social media for saying things like, hey, we need strong men in society. Hey, maybe women are happier in the home and raising children and being provided for by a strong and successful male in the home. He also offered his opinions on recent policies, namely things that came out during COVID-19, and asked us to perhaps learn our lesson when we see the people that we put in leadership positions in politics and in government, if they are making poor decisions, to perhaps reevaluate how we allow our political leaders to lead our country and to lead our communities, and also being willing to call people out when their actions do not align with the things that they say they believe in, namely President Biden, who claims to be an active Catholic while also openly advocating for things like abortion up to the moment of birth and denying medical care to babies born alive from failed abortions. All of these things sound like common sense to most of us, and all of them, to me, sound like things that would be truly beneficial for people to at least listen to without the idea that they're going to be offended first. But of course, when we see the media cover these things, the idea is to make sure that they plant seeds in your brain about how you're going to perceive what he says or how you're going to perceive these messages before you actually hear them, so that by the time you get to them, you've already decided how they sound to you, that you've already decided what your emotional reaction is going to be, and then you become completely uninterested in the context and in the substance of the message. So just to kind of set the stage of what the issue is and how this all started out, I'm just going to read a little bit from this article from the New York Post. It says, Kansas City Chiefs kicker Harrison Butker recently called out President Biden over his delusional support for abortion as a practicing Catholic. The three-time Super Bowl winner laid into the 81-year-old president during a fiery commencement speech Saturday at Benedictine College in Atchison, Kansas, where the NFL star also criticized the federal government's response to the COVID-19 pandemic and aired out his frustrations with a litany of other political, religious, and cultural issues. As a group, you witness firsthand how bad leaders who don't stay in their lane can have a negative impact on our society. Bad policies and poor leadership have negatively impacted major life issues, things like abortion, IVF, surrogacy, euthanasia, as well as a growing support for degenerate cultural values and media, all stem from the pervasiveness of disorder. So far, please tell me if he has said anything controversial. I think probably if you have been to my channel for a while now and you've been listening to the things that I have said, I think that we have far too much trust in our government leaders. And there are far too many people who look at them and say, just because they have this position in society, just because they have been voted in, just because they have this amount of trust from, the people that voted for them, means that they can't make mistakes, means that we can't question them, means that we can't put them in a place where we remind them that we are the ones in charge, and that if they fail us or if they do things that harm us, we have the right to remove them from that position. We have far too many people who are unwilling to do that and just listen to the things that they say and not take into account the results of the policies that they put in place. They can come to you and say all day long that they have your best interests in mind, but if they put policies in place that destroy the economy or that don't follow science or that put criminals back on the street, you need to look at them and say, okay, you keep saying that you care about my well-being, but the things that you are doing do not align with that, because the economy is destroyed and I do not feel safe even going out and running errands or going to the grocery store or walking to and from my car without the risk of being assaulted or mugged or shot. not. So far, he's just saying maybe a little bit more thinking for yourself is in order. So we're going to listen to a couple of clips of things directly from his speech and drop it in the comments as we're going through this. Do you think that he is saying anything negative, that's going to have a negative impact on society, that is controversial, that things that should be suppressed and not said out loud?
Our own nation is led by a man who publicly and proudly proclaims his Catholic faith, but at the same time is delusional enough to make the sign of the cross during a pro-abortion rally. He has been so vocal in his support for the murder of innocent babies that I'm sure to many people it appears that you can be both Catholic and pro-choice. He is not alone. From the man behind the COVID lockdowns to the people pushing dangerous gender ideologies onto the youth of America, they all have a glaring thing in common. They are Catholic. This is an important reminder that being Catholic alone doesn't cut it. These are the sorts of things we are told in polite society to not bring up. The difficult and unpleasant things. But if we are going to be men and women for this time in history, we need to stop pretending that the Church of Nice is a winning proposition. We must always speak and act in charity, but never mistake charity for cowardice.
And I think a lot of us have probably seen this in our own churches and congregations where we're getting these ideas mixed up about what it truly means to be compassionate and what it truly means to be a believer in Jesus Christ, where we have these leftist activists saying that if you were truly compassionate, you wouldn't stand against however someone wants to live their lives. If you were truly tolerant, you wouldn't oppose, what the individual choices that somebody else wants to make, whether it be abortion or whether it be to transition their child. And then we end up with a whole bunch of people that are of our same faith, but doing things that directly oppose what it is that we actually believe in. And they become the icons of faith and of Christianity and of Catholicism. And they become the people that we should try to be more like. And we get pulled further and further away from truth and reality and what actual love and compassion is. So then by contrast, he goes on to talk about how important it is to have strong men in society and to have men that value their masculinity and value their role as providers and protectors. And for some reason, these are extremely controversial things to say and have gotten people riled up, but I think that they are worth listening to. And I hope that a lot of men take these things to heart. And I hope that a lot of women take these things to heart and realize that strong masculine men in society and in our homes are beneficial to all of us.
It is only in the past few years that I have grown in courage to speak more boldly and directly, because as I mentioned earlier, I have leaned into my vocation as a husband and father and as a man. To the gentlemen here today, part of what plagues our society is this lie that has been told to you that men are not necessary in the home or in our communities. As men, we set the tone of the culture, and when that is absent, disorder, dysfunction, and chaos set in. This absence of men in the home is what plays a large role in the violence we see all around the nation. Other countries do not have nearly the same absentee father rates as we find here in the U.S., and a correlation could be made in their drastically lower violence rates as well. Be unapologetic in your masculinity, fighting against the cultural emasculation of men. Do hard things. Never settle for what is easy. You might have a talent that you don't necessarily enjoy, but if it glorifies God, maybe you should lean into that over something that you might think suits you better.
Yes, we need stronger men in society, and seeing the increasing emasculation of men throughout particularly Western culture has been nothing short of devastating. There are some areas of our country that are in total disorder and chaos, and it's generally because, of course there are a lot of factors, but a large part of this is because, first of all, they haven't had anybody to guide them and put them in their place growing up and to nip these behaviors in the bud while they're young. And at this point, there are even fewer people to put them in their place because they're either not allowed to or they will be penalized if they do. I constantly see stories everywhere of innocent people just being assaulted and harmed in the street, just walking down the street. And there have been countless times when I see a man nearby or, somebody standing there that could potentially step in and help somebody and alleviate the issue. And all of these people are wondering, why does that man not step in? Why does that guy not step in and help that person? And it's because they know that they have been emasculated. It's because they know that there is a target on their back, a greater target on their back, if they step in and stop these things from happening than the person who is actually committing the crime. You can see the confusion that all of these ideologies have implanted in our brains because we keep telling men that they're oppressive and that they're dangerous and that they want to harm people. And then at the same time, when they don't step in and fulfill their role that we expect of men, then we get mad. So clearly, even though we keep engaging in these conversations and entertaining these ideas that say that men are trying to harm society, we naturally revert back to what we actually expect from men in those moments when we believe that they should be stepping in and we believe that they should be protecting other people. And we understand that we are safer and better off when we fulfill the roles that we expected of them before these ridiculous woke and feminist ideas took over. And I want to get back to this clip that these ladies were about to respond to in my opening clip.
Some of you may go on to lead successful careers in the world, but I would venture to guess that the majority of you are most excited about your marriage and the children you will bring into this world. I can tell you that my beautiful wife, Isabel, would be the first to say that her life truly started when she began living her vocation as a wife and as a mother. I'm on this stage today and able to be the man I am because I have a wife who leans into her vocation.
Okay, everybody was mad about that. What'd you think when you heard that?
Now, before we get into what these two have to say about this, he was talking particularly to women and about women fulfilling their vocation and standing with their husband and building a solid home and a solid structure together. And that cannot happen if both people are trying to be the head of the house, if both people are trying to be the provider, if both people are trying to be the protector, and if one partner in particular is threatened by the other one fulfilling that role at a greater capacity than they are, namely when the woman feels like they are being threatened when they allow a man to provide for them.
Well, I'm where I am today because I have a husband who leans into his vocation, which is being an equal partner.
And right there, it only takes a few seconds to get to the root of the problem of this thinking, because the second that these women hear that this woman is like, you know what, I truly felt fulfilled, I truly felt like my life started when I had children, they automatically go to this place where the only reason she thinks that is because her, Christian Catholic male husband told her that that is how she would be happy. She didn't come to those ideas on her own. She didn't come to those conclusions through having children on her own and weighing both sides of the coin by saying, I've experienced having a career, I've experienced getting an education, I've also experienced giving birth and having children, and I've come to this conclusion on my own that, you know what, actually when I put the two side by side, I actually feel more fulfilled and happy and more content raising children and being a mother. Not only that, allowing my husband to go to work and not feeling threatened by him being the one that has a career, and recognizing that there are a lot of things that go into running a household and raising kids and building a home together and building a household together. And obviously that is going to look different for everyone, but it is ridiculous and it is such a poisonous idea for women to believe that if their husband is working and their husband is bringing in an income, that that's what they need to do as well to be considered an equal partner, where they're dumping their kids off in a daycare or allowing somebody else to spend the majority of their time with that human being that they just brought into the world that desperately needs them. All so that their mom doesn't feel like they're under the oppressive thumb of the patriarchy.
But also, who is he to tell us?
Don't speak for us. I think that's kind of the thing. Stop speaking for women out there.
I don't think there is anybody that has spoken more for women than feminists in probably the last 50, 60 years, driving women out of the home, telling them that being a mom and a wife is a lower calling in life than pursuing education, than climbing the corporate ladder, than bringing in that income, telling them that the value that they have in life is weighted, is based on their paycheck versus what they do with their kids and how they raise them. And that is proven by the fact that when he says, I want to support my wife being home, I want her to be able to raise our kids, I want her to be able to fulfill her divine calling as a mother, the fact that he says that makes these women angry. That is proving the point that feminism has dictated to women what they should and should not do with their lives far more than tradition has. Then the NFL came out and condemned this speech made by Harrison Butker, saying that it was misogynistic and sexist and that they are dedicated to inclusion. And I appreciated the comparison that this person on Twitter made. His name is Vince Langman. He said Travis Kelce chugs a beer and slams it down at a college graduation ceremony, and then the NFL celebrates him. And then there's Harrison Butker. He talks about Christian values, getting married, and raising kids at a graduation ceremony, and the woke NFL sends out a memo bashing his speech. I think of all the takes on this particular speech, the most shocking is that Whoopi Goldberg actually had kind of a semi-sane response to this. So don't look outside. Hell has not frozen over. I actually agree with most of what she said, not all, but we will take it where we can get it.
The NFL released a statement that he gave this speech in his personal capacity, and the NFL does not share his views. So, listen, I like when people say what they need to say. He's at a Catholic college. Yeah. He's a staunch Catholic. These are his beliefs, and he's welcome to them. I don't have to believe them. Right. I don't have to accept them. The ladies that were sitting in that audience do not have to accept them. The same way we want respect when Colin Kaepernick takes a knee. Right. We want to give respect to people whose ideas are different from ours, because the man who says he wants to be president, you know who? Yeah. He says the way to act is to take away people's right to say how they feel. We don't want to be that.
She had it right for about the first 30 to 40 seconds and then devolved into total insanity and, quite frankly, projection, because we know that whatever the left says that the right is doing, it means that it is the exact thing that they are doing and that they stand for. So when the left says that, hey, the right wants to take away free speech, it is actually the thing that they are doing. When they say the right wants to take away your rights, it is actually the thing that they are doing. So it's just total insanity. But I can appreciate her saying, we don't have to agree with it. We can listen to it. We don't have to agree with it. The women in that audience don't have to listen to it. They don't have to agree with it. And that's perfectly fine. We still have the right to say it. And I wish that more of the kids on college campuses would take that lesson to heart, that just because someone says something you disagree with does not mean that they are speaking for you or that they are telling you what you have to believe. We are welcome to disagree. That is the beauty of free speech. But I can't help but just have my mind completely blown when the NFL says that we do not share this person's beliefs, when they're up there saying that we need good, strong, masculine men who are respectful to women in society. Anyway, let me know what you guys think of all of this in the comments below. Please like this video. I do appreciate it, and it does help me in the algorithm. Please make sure that you are subscribed. I would love your support in growing my channel. Keep it real, guys, and I will see you in the next one.